Thanks to Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. This is the Nikon ZR, and it just might be the best camera for YouTube creators right now. You're getting crisp 6K video with multiple RAW recording options, 15 plus stops of dynamic range, a huge flip out touchscreen, 32-bit flow audio, and a ton more video features, all in a $2,200 body. Those are the kinds of features that we only see in cinema cameras that cost way more. So the real question is, how does the Nikon ZR hold up for YouTube? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down the Nikon ZR's unique features, downsides, and whether this is the camera I recommend this year.
You gotta just press record.
Welcome back to Think Media, Nate here. Now, Nikon did send me out this camera to test, but I don't get to keep it, and this video is not sponsored. If you want to support the channel, then check out the links to all the gear mentioned in the description of this video. But I've spent the past few weeks shooting with the Nikon ZR, and I'm really impressed with how much Nikon managed to cram into this camera at this price point. There is a lot to cover in this video, so to kick things off, let's start with the build quality. The Nikon ZR has a minimalist design. It feels very solid in the hand and well built. Nothing about it feels cheap or flimsy. And one of the things you'll first notice is this huge 4-inch touchscreen. It is sharp, bright, and gives you a lot more confidence when you are filming, especially by yourself. Now, when first using this screen, it honestly felt ridiculously large, but the more I used it, the more I really liked it. The screen is so good that I don't really feel the need for an external monitor. For talking head videos, vlogging, or just quick setups, I could easily use the screen and be totally happy. Along the rest of the body, you got a power button, a photo video switch, a few customizable buttons, and 2 record buttons, one on top and one on the front. Overall, the button layout is pretty minimal, and Nikon clearly expects you to rely on using the touchscreen for most settings. To me, there was a bit of a learning curve, especially since I've never used a Nikon camera, but once I got used to it, it was actually pretty simple and nice to operate. As far as the ports you get on this camera, you have a microphone and headphone jack, a USB-C for charging, and a micro HDMI. I think most people would prefer a full-size HDMI, but if you're not constantly plugged into monitors or capture cards, or you're just using this lovely screen, it's really not that big of a deal. Now, this camera does not have an active cooling fan, which might raise some concerns about overheating, but in my real-world use, it's honestly been surprisingly solid. I ran a test recording 6K RAW video at 24 frames per second, and I was able to record continuously without any issues. And again, that is shooting RAW video. So even if you do record longer takes, like for talking head videos, podcasts, or interviews, overheating really isn't a big concern, which is huge. But the main selling point of the Nikon ZR is its video quality, and I've honestly been blown away by the images I was able to capture with this camera. You have multiple professional recording formats to choose from, including ProRes RAW, Nikon RAW, and Red RAW, which is pretty wild at this price point. Personally, I ended up shooting most of this video in Red RAW. I just really liked the look I was getting. The skin tones look natural, and the colors just feel really true to life. And I think you get the best image quality when you are shooting in this codec. Now, for those who don't know, shooting RAW video gives you more color information and better highlight recovery. So you can actually push your color grading without the image falling apart. It also gives you more flexibility if your exposure or white balance isn't perfect. Another really cool option here is that you can shoot 4K RAW without a crop, which is great if you want to save on some card space. And the footage still looks really great even if you are at this lower resolution, but if you want the best possible image and the most flexibility, then 6K RAW is definitely the way to go. Now, there's going to be times where you don't want to shoot RAW for everything, and that's where the standard video files still look great. You can switch to H.265, and the footage looks really clean, cinematic, and usable straight out of camera. Now, at the time of recording this video, there is one issue that some users have ran into when shooting in H.265 and in log. And when you're shooting in this specific format, you'll notice that the image isn't as sharp as other formats or picture profiles. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, I recommend checking out this video from Philip Bloom. But in short, this looks like a firmware level issue that will most likely be fixed by Nikon in a future update. Overall, the Nikon ZR delivers video quality that feels way above its price. The recording options here give creators a ton of flexibility depending on how deep they want to go. And while the ZR is a video first camera, it actually takes really good photos too. We're working with a 24 megapixel sensor, which is more than sharp enough for social media, behind the scenes, thumbnails, or even some client work. My buddy RJ actually grabbed a few behind the scenes photos using his Nikon ZR, and I love how these turned out straight out of camera, especially using the creative looks. Photos look really clean and natural, and it's not overly processed. It's just a pleasing image without too much effort. Now, obviously there is no viewfinder with this camera, but the photo experience here is still way better than you'll get on more cinema focused cameras like the Sony FX3. So if you do occasionally shoot some photos alongside video, the Nikon ZR is more than capable. But no matter how good your camera is, there's always moments where you just don't have the time or the ability to capture every shot you want. That's where I use today's sponsor, Storyblocks. Storyblocks gives me unlimited access to high quality stock footage, motion graphics, music, and sound effects, all under one simple subscription. And for us at Think Media, it's honestly a huge time saver. Let's say I need a drone shot, I can actually just go ahead, go to Storyblocks, download one, bring it into my editing software, and I'm good to go. We use Storyblocks for things like additional B-roll, animated backgrounds, as well as some really cool overlays that add some texture to our video. So instead of overthinking or reshooting our video, we can just focus on telling the story clearly and making the best video possible. And as a filmmaker myself, I really appreciate that Storyblocks supports real artists and filmmakers. When you are using Storyblocks, you are in turn supporting these creatives at their craft. So if you want to save time and tell better stories, check out Storyblocks at storyblocks.com/thinkmedia or hit the link in the description down below. All right, so we're going to do a bunch of different tests with the Nikon ZR. The first one we'll do is the autofocus test. So right now I have it side by side against the Sony a7S III. Sony's autofocus has always been reliable, and so we're testing that out to see if the Nikon can hold up just as well. When I first got my hands on the Nikon ZR, I actually found that the autofocus did not behave the way I expected it to be compared to my a7S III. Because I was in the AFC mode, which is autofocus continuous, but on Nikon, you want to be on the AFF mode, which is full-time autofocus. So once I switched over to that, autofocus started behaving just normally, and it was good to go. Now, I currently set my settings to the fastest and most sensitive on the Nikon, so it should kind of keep up pretty well. But if you want, you can dial back down the sensitivity if you want a more natural focus pull. But otherwise, I've been really impressed with the autofocus once it is switched over to AFF. Now, manual focus also behaves a little bit differently as well. If you're coming from Sony or Canon, you'll find that the manual focus is actually opposite of what you're used to. So it does take some getting used to. Fortunately though, Nikon has allowed you to swap the focus direction. So it is a little bit more natural and intuitive. But not only that, they allow you to change how much of a focus degree you want. So if you want it a little bit longer for more detailed focus pulls, or a little bit shorter for quicker pulls if you are doing it solo. And you can also change it if it's linear or non-linear. So you have a bunch of customization when it comes to focus on this camera, which I really appreciate that Nikon allowed us to have that much flexibility. It makes it a little bit easier to switch over from these other cameras. There's also features like product showcase mode. So if you hold up a product to the camera, it'll focus on that rather than your face. So really helpful if you are filming by yourself in front of the camera, hugely helpful. But I think once you get the Nikon ZR properly set up, autofocus is reliable and behaves pretty normally, which is huge if you are trying to be that one-man band. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the autofocus on the Nikon. So next up, we have a low light test. The Nikon ZR has dual native ISO. It has a base ISO of 800 and 6400. Shooting at 800 is going to give you the best results if you are shooting in log or raw recording. And as you start to increase the ISO, you'll start to see a little bit more noise up until you get around to 6400 at that second base. Then the image actually cleans up surprisingly well. One thing that's really cool is Nikon has actually added some overlap between the different ISO stages. And that gives you more control over the image if you want to prioritize a cleaner image or you want to protect your highlights. Now, low light performance is really solid when you are in H.265, but if you switch over to something like RAW, you will notice more noise. That's because you're working with a more untouched file. So it's extra important that you nail your exposure and plan on denoising a bit in post if you are shooting in RAW in low light situations. Now, the Nikon ZR is not quite the low light monster like the Sony a7S III, but the ZR still delivers a crisp and usable image in darker environments. Now, rolling shutter is one of those things you don't really notice until it's really bad in some cameras. If you're not familiar, it's that slight skew or jello effect you can see when you do a fast pan or quick movements. And this is caused by the sensor reading out the image line by line. So cameras with faster readout speeds are going to have less of this jello effect. On the Nikon ZR, rolling shutter performance is actually really impressive. It's honestly really hard to tell against my Sony a7S III, which is one of the best cameras out there in this area. And that's particularly impressive when you consider how much more the ZR is delivering and at a cheaper price. Next up is the image stabilization. So coming from my a7S III, which is a few years old now, I know that the IBIS isn't the best out there. So I was really curious to see how the Nikon ZR holds up in terms of stabilization. With the ZR, you get two modes of stabilization, a normal and sport mode. Sport mode is designed to help smooth out with quicker pans, but I've mostly kept mine on the normal setting and it's been great. It definitely does a great job at smoothing out those small handheld jitters, and it gives your footage a more polished feel. And here's a quick test comparing it against my Sony a7S III. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the stabilization on the Nikon ZR. Alright, so let's talk about audio on the Nikon ZR, because one really cool thing they brought to the ZR is 32-bit float audio. So typically cameras record in a 24-bit, which means that you have to set your levels and make sure that your audio doesn't get too loud or too quiet, or else you could risk it getting clipped. With 32-bit float audio, you can correct that in post-production, and you never really can clip your audio, which is so cool. So right now you are listening to me with the internal microphone on the Nikon ZR. Now, built-in microphones aren't going to sound the best, but in a pinch, these can provide some good audio. This one actually sounds pretty decent if you just are looking for some scratch audio, want to pick up the camera and vlog with it. But one thing I thought I would try out is connecting an external microphone like the Rode VideoMic Go 2. So I'm going to put that onto the Nikon ZR so we can hear how it sounds. Alright, so now I connected the Rode VideoMic Go 2 directly into the Nikon ZR. This is a pretty decent microphone, costs $100, and you can instantly upgrade your audio. But the cool thing is we still have 32-bit audio files, so even if I get loud or something crazy happens that I'm unexpecting, I know I'll have great sounding audio, which is so helpful for solo creators like myself. So let's talk about battery life on the Nikon ZR. I actually only had one battery for all my testing, and so I was a little concerned with just how well it would hold up, especially when you factor in how much this camera is capable of. But after testing out for a bit, I was actually really impressed with how good the battery life is. In my testing, I got around an hour and a half of recording, and that was actually shooting in 6K RAW, which is one of the most demanding formats on this camera. So even if you're shooting in more standard formats, you could probably expect even better battery life. And I think for most creators, carrying around an extra 1 or 2 batteries will easily cover a full shoot. That being said, if you are planning to shoot RAW, there is one thing to consider, and that is the file sizes. RAW files are huge, which means you'll need faster cards and enough storage to store all those files. And that's definitely an additional cost to keep in mind when you are buying this camera. Now, something else you'll have to factor in when you are looking at the Nikon ZR is the lenses. Nikon has a bunch of Z lenses to choose from. I've been testing out a few, the 50mm f1.4, which is an incredible lens. I really enjoyed shooting with it. It's very sharp, that wonderful shallow depth of field, and just a great focal length if you are looking to get cinematic B-roll. I've also been trying out the 17 to 28mm lens, which is a great wide angle lens if you do a lot of vlogging, and the 24 to 70, which is a super versatile lens if you want one lens to basically cover everything. But I've been really impressed with the quality of these lenses. One of the things I liked about the zoom lenses is that they internally zoom, so they don't protrude, which is excellent if you are putting this on a gimbal. You don't have to bother rebalancing. They're also pretty lightweight as well, so if you are trying to carry a bunch of lenses, lighter lenses are definitely a lot easier to travel with. That being said, these lenses are not cheap, and if you're building out a kit from scratch, that's something you definitely have to factor in. But if you already own a bunch of Sony lenses, you can actually buy this adapter from Megadap, and you can keep using your existing lenses on your Nikon ZR. You get full control over your lenses, autofocus works surprisingly well, and it makes switching systems way less painful. So if you want to pick up this adapter and use your Sony lenses, I actually linked it in the description down below. Now there are a ton of little things that I really liked about the Nikon ZR. Things like shutter angle, which saves so much time when you are switching between frame rates. The big 4-inch touchscreen, which is very bright and sharp. The screen info rotates when you are shooting vertical video. You have waveforms, which is great for setting exposure. The red raw colors just look so good in this camera. 32-bit float audio. I also love that the camera names formatted card after the camera, which makes organizing your files just a little bit easier instead of just naming it untitled. I'm looking at you, Sony. And listen to the sound the record button makes. It's just so nice. There's just so much to like about the Nikon ZR, but it does have its quirks. First is the lack of physical buttons and customization. I felt like it kind of slowed me down and I had to really rely on using the touchscreen, which really isn't my favorite way of operating the camera. I also feel that the user interface isn't quite as intuitive if you are using the touchscreen. I also don't like the shared battery and card slots. If you're on a tripod, swapping cards can be annoying. I'd much rather have the card slots on the side of the camera. Also, the placement of the microphone input blocks the screen if you try to flip it around. And also there is no open gate, which makes it less flexible if you are planning to repurpose for vertical content. So a few things I would love to see Nikon improve on either in the next camera or with firmware updates is number one, having more button customization and a more intuitive touchscreen interface. Blackmagic does this really well with their cameras, and I would love to have a cinema focus interface for video. I'd also love to see a red color science style picture profile that could be baked in for quicker turnaround so you don't necessarily have to color grade your video all the time. And to fully utilize the 32-bit float audio in this camera, I would love to see an XLR style top handle for this camera. But for $2,200, none of these are deal breakers, but it would make this camera even better. So that brings us to the question of who is the Nikon ZR for? If you want cinematic looking video but don't want to pay full cinema camera prices, this is a fantastic option. It's built for YouTubers, creators who care about image quality, but still need a camera that's easy to use on their own. It gives you that high-end film style look while still offering things that matter for solo creators. Things like reliable autofocus, a flip out screen. And I think that makes the Nikon ZR one of the best value creator cameras you can buy right now. And it makes me a little bit sad that I have to return it. But I'd love to know what camera you are using right now. What do you love? What do you hate about it? And after seeing what the Nikon ZR can do, would you actually consider switching? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to see other cameras that we recommend for YouTube, including some more budget-friendly options, then check out this video on screen right up here.